Two. Hello, this is our COM217 presentation. We are going to talk about GMOs. This is Anirudh Imani, Vivian Chen, Jun Guo, and Hitashi Gala. Our topic is about busting myths associated with GMOs. GMOs are often misunderstood. Some misconceptions are they harm the environment or they cause cancer, but we're here to bust those myths with our combined background in biology and agriculture. But why GMOs?
GMOs are everywhere in our food, our medicines, and even our clothes. Our modern world heavily relies on GMOs. GMOs are a widely debated and often misunderstood topic that directly affect public health, agriculture, and the environment. Many people have strong opinions about GMOs but lack accurate science based information. Misinformation has led to public fear and resistance, despite regulatory oversight and proven benefits.
We want to target the general public who are misled by the myths of GMOs. We will clarify the common misconceptions of GMOs and help the general public make a better decision on GMOs based on scientific facts.
To convince you that GMOs are more beneficial than a burden, we will be utilizing research from peer-reviewed articles, scientific studies conducted on GMOs, and expert testimonies. In the following video, we will present to you guys what GMOs actually are.
GMOs, or genetically modified organisms, are found everywhere. When you see those juicy tomatoes at the store that are bright and red, chances are they are genetically modified organisms. The insulin for people with diabetes also utilizes GMOs. Our society leans heavily on GMOs to improve our quality of life. But how are GMOs made? Let's go back in time. In 1972, scientists Herbert Boyer and Stanley Cohen created the first GMO. How? Well, they extracted DNA from one bacterium and then shoved it into another. Britannica in 2025 even highlights that in 1982, the first ever GMO entered the commercial market. That's how insulin for diabetic patients came to be. Essentially, GMOs are created by altering genetic structures of an organism using genetic engineering to add or remove aspects of the organism's genome. This could be changing the color of flowers or extracting DNA from amber and creating dinosaurs. Unfortunately, we aren't creating dinosaurs, but we are creating organisms with the capacity to annihilate world hunger. But why do we think GMOs are bad?
People believe that inserting DNA from one species into another changes its identity, making it unnatural or even dangerous. This belief is reinforced by emotional anti GMO propaganda, which tends to be more memorable and widely spread than scientific facts. These concerns are valid, but are they really true? Let's break down the biggest myths about GMOs. A common misconception that people have about GMOs is that they increase allergies and cause cancers. This may stem from the unnatural belief discussed earlier. However, if we recall how GMOs are made, the process of altering genes allows scientists to know exactly which proteins are produced in the plant due to gene alteration. Scientists also rigorously test these proteins to ensure they are not allergens. In addition to this, FDA regulations also mandate that GMOs should be as safe as their non-GMO counterparts. Therefore, if you're not allergic to a particular non-GMO food, you will definitely not be allergic to its GMO variant. When it comes to cancer, the same principles apply. GMOs are not made in a way that would increase cancer. In fact, according to an analysis by the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, the patterns of change in cancer rates in the United States are quite similar to Europe and United Kingdom, where people eat less GMO foods. This proves that there is no correlation between cancer rates and eating GMOs.
Another common misconception about GMOs is that they damage the ecosystem by increasing the use of herbicides and causing tolerance to herbicides and pesticides among wheat and pests. It is believed that herbicide-tolerant GM crops will encourage farmers to use more herbicides. However, tolerance here doesn't mean tolerance to more herbicides, but tolerance to a more efficient herbicide, which allows switching to another type of herbicides and therefore makes it possible to kill weeds with less herbicides. According to Brock's analysis based on data, herbicide-tolerant GM crops use a smaller amount of herbicides than traditional crops. Another support point of this misconception is that GMOs cause tolerance of herbicides and pesticides among weeds and pests. It is partly true that the use of chemicals may lead to tolerance in weeds and pests. Switching to another way of protecting the crop, which is using GM technologies, has a similar effect on tolerance as traditional crop protection methods.
So, to go over what we learned briefly, GMOs are not the monsters media has made them out to be. While you may have gone into this presentation believing that GMOs cause allergies, cause cancer, and damage the ecosystem by increasing the use of herbicides, I hope that by debunking each of these myths with scientific evidence, you can see GMOs for what they truly are, necessary assets for our everyday living. Thank you for listening.